at this moment doesn't mean it's not going to shine at the next. So God has given us promises that we can keep and that we can rely on. And you know what? God does not want you to be afraid, my brothers and sisters, because he has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's what God has given you. No fear, but he's given you power. Remember David? Can you imagine this little ruddy teenager, no more, I'm assuming 5'11" or shorter, and here come a giant 9 feet tall with body armor, with the spear that's 9 feet tall, and a sword, and he is all armored up, and he is coming at you. Can you imagine? Well, I'm here to let you know, David, it was not an imaginary giant. Goliath was real. David exercised his faith, not in himself, but in God. And David won the battle. He took Goliath's head off. You too can win the battle. How do you fight your battle? You fight your battle down on your knees. You fight your battles through the assurance that God has brought you through many battles, and he is training your hands to war. So don't be afraid, my brothers and sisters. God has not given you that fear. He's given you power and love and a sound mind to know that nothing shall be impossible for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. God loves you, so he does not want you to be afraid. How do you fight your battles? By calling on the God of the battle, which is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So remember, my brothers, there's a way out of your mess, my sisters, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Sheriff Barker sent me a text almost exactly 6 minutes ago. Said he is on his way. He'll be here in just a moment. So we'll have Russell on here in just a few moments. Anything in the meantime, 865-457-1380 or 877-711-4005 on Ask Your Neighbor. Like I said, we'll be back with the sheriff here in just a moment. Powell Clinch Utility District wants to make your next home improvement a success. Their appliances are made with you in mind to update your kitchen, laundry room, and provide you with endless hot water. Want to improve your outdoor living? PCUD sells griddles, grills, and fire pits, all powered by natural gas, so you never have to fill a tank again. They also offer appliance installation and 0% financing added directly to your monthly bill. Visit PCUD Showroom in Rocky Top, their website at pcud.org, or call 865-426-2822 to learn more. PCUD is your natural gas provider.
I'm Ann Backus, running for State House Representative in District 33. Your voice matters. I want to bring your voice back into the people's house. The issues that matter to us aren't getting a fair hearing in Nashville. We need action on affordable health care for all, including women, common sense gun safety, public education, not private vouchers, equality and equity for all. I'm Ann Backus. I'm asking for your vote for State House. I will make sure our voices are heard.
Paid for by Backus for Tennessee District 33 Treasurer David Mullen.
You should consider advertising on WYSH Trading Time because people all over East Tennessee are listening and just might come in and do business with you. Good morning, WYSH Radio Trading Time. Hi, you're on the air. Where are you calling us from this morning?
Knoxville.
Hey.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ron, and I'm calling from Powell.
Thank you. Where are you calling me from this morning?
Clinton.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling me from this morning, brother?
I'm down here in Oliver Springs. I've been right here on this corner since 1972.
My friend, where are you calling me from today?
Clinton.
Okay. That'll do it. Where are you calling from today? I know where you're at. You're here in Clinton.
That's right.
Go right ahead. Where are you calling me from?
I'm in between Oliver Springs and Harriman.
Well, I'm up here in the Andersonville area.
Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling us from today?
Rockwood.
Go right ahead.
Nowhere else from Rome County down here. How you doing?
Good morning. You're on the air.
It's the Big Ron from Metropolis in Harriman, Tennessee. Now I'm up at Kilmer, sitting by the fireplace.
Where are you calling us from this morning?
Oliver Springs.
Where are you at today, David? Where are you calling from?
Over on Raccoon Valley.
Raccoon Valley. AM 1380, WYSH. WYSH. Where are you calling me from today, sir?
Jacksboro.
Jacksboro. Fantastic. Where are you calling me from this morning?
Oliver Springs.
Where are you at this morning?
I'm in Dutch Valley community. They can call me here in La Follette.
Good morning, sir. Where are you calling us from today?
Call from Rockwood.
Good deal.
Well, I'm calling from South Clinton.
Where are you calling me from today?
This is Nick in Oak Ridge.
Nick in Oak Ridge. Good morning, Nick. Thank you. Where are you calling from this morning?
Knoxville.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, I'm calling from Briceville, Tennessee today.
Calling from Bryce. Yes, sir. Where are you calling me from?
Harriman.
Harriman. Thank you. Pat, you're calling me from West Wolf Valley.
West Wolf Valley, yes, sir.
There you go.
Right here below the radio station on Spring Street.
Where are you calling us from this morning, sir?
Campbell County.
Yes, it is. Hi. Good morning. Where are you calling me from today?
I'm calling down here from South Harriman.
That's exactly right. Where are you calling me from today, pal?
La Follette.
La Follette. Thank you. Go ahead. Fantastic. Campbell County's in the house today. Where are you calling me from today?
South Clinton.
Thank you, sir. Where are you calling me from today?
Here in Clinton, Ron.
Thank you, sir. Do you currently or would you like to draw business from any of these areas? Clinton, Oliver Springs, Jacksboro, Oak Ridge, Rockwood, La Follette, Andersonville, Harriman, Caryville, Dutch Valley, Roane County, Campbell County, Knoxville, South Clinton, Bryceville, West Wolf Valley, Raccoon Valley, Spring Street, South Harriman, Emery Gap, Powell, and many others? This is just one day of trading time. We do it 6 days a week, twice a day. A world of business is waiting to hear about your business on Trading Time. So why not advertise your business right here on WYSH Trading Time? Heard on AM 1380, FM 99.5, FM 101.1, online at WYSHradio.com, at BBBTV12.com. On your Alexa, simply say, play WYSH Radio Clinton on the TuneIn Radio app. Watch Trading Time on Comcast Xfinity Channel 1081 or 1086. On Facebook, search WYSH AM 1380 or BBB TV 12. On YouTube, Twitter, now X, just search BBB TV 12. And you can watch on your Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV streaming device by downloading Boxcast and then searching BBB Communications. So why not advertise your business to everyone listening to Trading Time right here on WYSH? And good morning. Are you calling to be with us on Ask Your Neighbor this morning?
Yes.
Oh, good morning and welcome. We're waiting while we're here waiting on Sheriff Barker. What have you got for us this morning?
The lady who called in right after I called about the need for big men's and big women's clothing up in the disaster area in North Carolina.
Yes.
The lady who called in sounds like she might be from FEMA or Red Cross. But I just would like to remind people, in East Tennessee, there may be one person out of 25,000 who would send soil clothing as a donation. That's very small amount.
Yes.
most everybody is going to send clean clothing.
Sure.
And these people are desperate. There are still people up there. Some, one was on YouTube or Facebook, whichever one I was on,
okay,
and had the same outfit on since September 27th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad. These people need clothes. For anybody to suggest that they be denied because maybe one pair of bib overalls is going to come in a little bit soiled. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
I guarantee you'd be cleaner than what they're wearing at this point if they're still in the same clothes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up there in the mud.
All right.
Cold. I mean, it's cold weather now. So people need to disregard the famous spokesman, the Red Cross spokesman, and try to help their neighbors if they can. And God will bless.
Thank you, dear.
That I'm sure of.
You have
Thank
a
you very
fantastic.
much.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Sheriff Russell Barker is joining us here this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fairly partly cloudy.
Are you? Well, you should be like sunny and 75, just coming back from the beach, you know?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your trip?
We did. We had a really good time. So we drove down, and so we packed, and we didn't want to miss the Florida game.
Yeah.
So right after the game, we drove down and then left a little early to make it back time for Alabama.
There you go.
And both paid dividends.
That was great. Great games, both of them. A little too close. But
yeah, so Neyland Stadium, honestly, I've never in my life heard it so loud.
The Florida or the
Alabama game.
Yeah.
And it's louder than NASCAR racing.
It's crazy.
It was like, and so some of the guys around me that probably follow it a little better than I do were saying that coach for Alabama talked about he coached at Oregon State, and he wasn't worried about the noise level at Neyland because he'd been in noisy stadiums. But I'm telling you, it looked like his eardrums were bleeding as he ran in the locker room at the end of the game.
Yeah, he didn't look happy.
I'm telling you, like, to be there live, right, you could see how hard of a time Alabama was having on offense.
Oh, yeah.
And then it got as quiet as a church when UT had the ball. I mean,
Don't you love it?
So it's a real thing. I mean, crowd noise is home field advantage is a real thing.
I shared it on Facebook, sitting there watching television, and boom, Trey pops up on the TV. Standing there with the band. It was pretty cool. So look at that. It was like right when it started.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. So that was cool. But I've only been to like one game this season. It's just, there's always something, and it seems like every time I was talking to Trey didn't march in the halftime show yesterday. He marched in the pregame. I don't know how all that works.
I don't either, but also, of course, I was in the halftime show in line for the restroom and listen to all the analysis from the rest of the guys there.
Sure, absolutely.
But I guess Alabama's band got to play.
I don't know.
They were there.
I really don't.
Because they had 9 buses there. I did count that.
Oh, wow.
University of Alabama brought 9 buses.
And they brought their entire band.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works. But yeah.
It was a great weekend for football.
Yes.
Dragons had the weekend off. I think we're going to Carnes Friday. I think that's where we're going.
Yeah, E.T. Stamey texts me. Every week he gives me the schedule.
Gives you the rundown. I love it. We'll have that on. And then, of course, UT? Who do we have this weekend?
The season's over as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, it was like that with me in Florida. It's like that was, and it still is the game. It's still, with me, in my lifetime, it seems like Florida was a bigger rival because, we went through that space in time where Alabama was terrible.
Yes.
In the 90s.
Yes.
And so
they were on probation.
All that stuff. And so Florida just became a more,
I agree,
bigger rival in my eyes.
I agree, but I just know coming up in the 70s and 80s, I was taught to.
Oh, the third Sunday in October's religious. Absolutely.
Right. So,
yeah, it's a fun game, fun weekend. I'm trying to pull up who do we have this weekend.
Gosh, I really don't know.
Okay, that's what I'm trying. That's what I was looking for. I know it's not Georgia, is it? We don't have.
Surely not.
Okay.
My heart can't take it.
Oh, we must have a bye because it says our next Saturday the 2nd. So we must have a bye this weekend. There you go. That works. Us, these sports geniuses here getting to figure out the schedule. So let's talk a little bit. Couple.
Kentucky, can we play Kentucky on November 2nd?
November 2nd. Yeah. All right.
That'd be fun.
Couple things.
Them Vanderbilt figures the year where we seem to have it together. They're both
getting it together. Yeah. That's I don't know, Vanderbilt. They're 25. They always play us pretty good. I mean, we've beat them, but the last 8 years, 10 years, they've played us pretty good.
Yeah, they won 4 years ago. Somebody was telling me.
So. 4 years ago, I remember I was there. I was in a luxury box when they beat us one year. That was the quietest luxury box I ever sat in.
So I only got to sit in a box twice.
Okay.
And the first one was when Georgia State come here and beat us. You want to talk about a bad one?
That is a bad one. Good Lord. All right, let's see here. Somebody wanted me to ask you, this is interesting, said, in the event that we were ever placed under martial law, what would the sheriff's office role be, or what would be their chain of command?
I don't know. I would love to know who would be putting us under martial law. If it's the feds, I'm not sure we comply. Just to be honest with you. And if it's a state, I don't know. Now, I know some of Upper East, during those things, they put some curfews out, but I wouldn't think it was actually martial law.
Because martial law is like federal law, isn't it?
Yeah,
and the federal government comes in.
Yeah, they come in and take over, which I don't think, as the sheriff, I'm going to comply with that.
I get it.
It's got to be a good reason.
I understand.
But I can't imagine, honestly, any circumstance.
Depends. Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. They're going to do it from the election and all this other stuff.
So look, there was, and I don't even know what was true and what wasn't.
True.
However, so I coordinated the Tennessee Sheriff Association's relief efforts for Upper East.
Okay.
And it kind of just fell in my lap because I answered the text thread first. Right.
Exactly.
But so there was a lot of rumors, and of course, the Sheriff Association, our mission was really separate than TEMA and FEMA's.
Okay.
We were trying to support the sheriffs and their staff and their families because a lot of these guys lost everything too. And so, and they were working around the clock trying to serve their citizens. So we want to make sure they had what they needed. And it's difficult for you to be out here helping the people you're sworn to serve when your own family is without. So that was kind of our role and what we were trying to do. And then there was a boatload of things about FEMA taking donations and snatching them up. I don't know if that happened. I can tell you they didn't take any of the Sheriff's Association stuff, right? Because we had rumors of that, but the sheriffs in Upper East said they've not seen that. But we were willing to make sure they were escorted, police escorts. I mean, send deputies up with any supplies or donations, but we didn't see that. And then we got comfortable with when they opened up Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yes.
As a TEMA National Guard. So the Sullivan County Sheriff, Jeff Cassidy, who's the current president of the Sheriff's Association, he has a personal relationship with the family that owns Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, they provide security up there. The Sullivan County Sheriff's Office does. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if it wasn't something very specific that a sheriff asked for, as we move through the whole episode and relief effort, in the beginning everything went to the sheriffs, and then it got to a point where they were needing very specific things. Because in the front end it was manpower and water. right? That's what they needed. Then it transitioned into food, dog food, pet supplies, right? And then it moved into basically camping equipment, right?
Yeah.
Flashlights, batteries, sleeping bags.
Makes sense.
And so we would put specific loads together for the sheriffs whatever they had requested, and then big general overarching things like the water was unbelievable. I mean, I think Anderson County put more water on Upper East Tennessee than Helena did. Right? I'm serious.
I was say we did a thing up at the high school, and
it was unbelievable.
Filled up the
response.
Truck. Yeah, it really was.
County.
People were amazing.
But it was tough logistically, like with the roads being out, and those command posts were they accessible with semis.
Yeah.
So we ran into some of that, but we'd heard those stories that FEMA was doing that, but we had it worked out through Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, and we were comfortable with the fact that TEMA was going to do the right thing, because we had an issue. We had one specific issue where Johnson County Sheriff Worley reached out. He needed something, and we knew those supplies were sitting at Bristol Motor Speedway, and the very next morning he had them.
That's good.
So so we were thrilled with that, because one of the problems the sheriffs were reporting early on, right? And of course, TEMA and FEMA both, they have access to stuff we don't, clearly, as sheriffs and as counties, but more importantly, they have a bigger picture overall thing they were trying to do. We were trying to make sure that the public safety people could perform public safety issues without worries.
Yes.
Now, the flip side of that coin is you would have the sheriff knowing that Miss Sally, her road's washed out and she needs a bag of dog food and a case of water. We're standing there looking at a case of water and a bag of dog food, but
can't get over.
FEMA wants 5 signatures before we take off with it. And so that's when we were like, okay, we're going to make sure the sheriff has his own supply,
so that he can
do it. Because and it's not saying anything bad. It's just bureaucracy got in the way to a certain extent.
Bureaucracy always gets in the way.
Yeah. So we were, and we trusted our sheriffs with the look. If we took them 2 truckloads worth of water, and again, like our original thing was for their employees and their families, and if they had excessive amount, well, we trusted they knew where that needed to be.
Yes.
And if it was to the point to where they wanted to give it to FEMA, we trusted them to make that call too. So it worked out well. We were really surprised. We were really thrilled with it. Ironically enough, one of the things that we just came out of our last association meeting talking about was communication. So Sheriff Harville up in Granger County took it upon himself to make sure, because we're in districts as well, right?
Yeah.
So he had just put together our divisions. Division 1, which is what Anderson County is part of, and made sure all the sheriffs had all the other sheriffs' cell phones, right? Because honestly, there's only 95 of us, but still at conference.
Yeah.
I may not interact with them, right?
Sure.
There's only one. I mean, I don't. So he put that list out, and so we tried to do a giant text thread, but we ran into 2 issues there. One, Apple caps it at 20, and then 2, if one guy, which they're out there, uses Android, right? You couldn't edit the list.
Gotcha.
So if you put down the number, and he said, "No, I would rather you use this number," we had to rebuild the whole list, right? But fortunately, we divided it up between upper and lower Division 1, and we had that in place for about 30 days. Hadn't even used it, and then when this happened, instantly I was able to communicate with because we had some duplicates. Myself, Sullivan County Sheriff, who is the president currently of the Tennessee Sheriff Association, Harville, who's the director, and then Jim Barong is the vice president of the district. Okay. So we were all on both threads, and that way I could shoot it up to Upper East. They would tell me what they needed, shoot it down to Lower.
Oh, that's good.
And then that's how that was kind of a switchboard almost.
Get everything.
And then, of course, we were letting Director Bledsoe of the Sheriff Association push it out to Middle and West. And their responses were fabulous.
Let me ask you this. We saw dams breached, bridges were washed out. Who is in charge of reevaluating our infrastructure, the bridges, the dams, that kind of stuff? Because
bridges and dams are state, TVA. Because listen, it was horrifying. I mean, really, just shocking what was going on.
If Norris ever gave way, I mean, we'd be underwater. We'd be probably close to it here. I don't know if we'd be underwater up here, but we'd be.
This would be one of the places I'd come to.
Go to the top, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, bridges are state. At least it's my understanding.
You just see something like that, and we dodged a bullet, but that water could have ran down and fed into Norris, and could have pushed that water even higher.
Yeah, so some of the most amazing stories came out of that. Like, I remember the first time I talked to the Washington County Sheriff, Sheriff Sexton, because they lost cell phone.
Yeah, they lost
signals and stuff. And TMA did get some satellite phones in there for them, so that was incredibly helpful. So we had some temporary numbers they were operating on. But I remember taking the phone call with Sheriff Sexton saying, all right, what do you guys need? And on the front end, it was literally all about manpower, right?
Just people.
We need bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we learned some best practices out of that too, because the Sheriff Association was fabulous. East Tennessee was fabulous about getting deputies up there, but they were overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
So when they got them, they were like, "Oh, what we do now?" Yeah, I mean, so they were overwhelmed. But I remember Sheriff Sexton telling me, "There's not a bridge left standing."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and one of the guys. So there was a community up there. I can't remember if it was Washington or Johnson County, but the road was washed out and the bridge was washed out. So this community was completely isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could only get to it by boat. But this is early on.
Current was.
So they were trying to get over just to see
if people were okay. Yeah.
And so they've got this boat, they've got this river that's up 20 feet or better, and it's raging like nobody's business. And they're trying to determine, is it even safe for us to climb in this boat to try to cross? Can this boat that we have access to
withstand the current?
Yeah, because you get in and hop out, and it pushes you.
Mm-hmm.
Away from where you're trying to get, and you land somewhere completely else, So they said, and I remember they were telling this story to us. So they're sitting there, and they've got, all their local county groups, rescue squad and EMA and stuff there, and they're trying to make a decision as quickly as possible, and if it's worth the risk, And then all of a sudden, they said, somebody goes, "Is that a house?" And here comes a house down the river, with a woman, child, and a man on the front porch, riding it like it's a houseboat, and they're screaming for help. Of course, they jump in that boat and just take off chasing the house.
Wow.
Wow. So, I mean, just things that you would not dream of.
No, it's biblical proportions kind of, destroyed.
And, of course, I'm getting texts from West Tennessee going, "I thought y'all were mountains. How does a mountain flood?"
Yeah, it came right down the valley.
Yeah.
Right down the valley.
So and there was just tons and tons of stories. Like, one sheriff described it. I think it was Unicoi, talked about they were trying to evacuate people, and all the deputies were out saying, "Hey," knocking on these doors and saying, "Guys, you got to go now."
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's raining and the ground's super wet, but they're saying so he's this one particular thing. This one sheriff tells me he gets flagged down. There's a couple on the road, and they said the gentleman lives down here is elderly. If his truck's there, he's there, right? We couldn't get him to come to the door, and his truck's there, so we're worried. So the sheriff has to stay on the road because the ground's so saturated and soft. He was afraid he'd get stuck if he went down this gravel driveway. It's about 100 yards off the road. So he walks down there, and he says there's puddles where it's pulling up, and the ground's really soggy. He's knocking on the door, can't get anybody to come. And he said, I'm trying to make my decision on whether I'm going to kick this door in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're running into legal issues there, right?
Yeah, sure, I get it.
And he hears them yelling at the road. Well, he looks up there, there's an elderly man standing there. Well, it turns out it is the guy they were looking for.
Gotcha.
And he says when he steps off the porch, it is now above the soles of his boots.
Just in that amount of time.
That amount of time. And then he said, the comparison he gave, he goes, you know, at the beach, when you're sitting close to the water, and he goes, and then all of a sudden the water rushes in and gets onto your stuff.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly. You think you got plenty of space. He said, that's what happened. He said, my boots filled up with water before I got back to my car.
Wow.
And
wow.
And so it was, but they were knocking on doors and saying, hey, look, we ain't telling you. It may happen. Like North Carolina's underwater, and it's all rolling this way. And they had just had a lot of, mountain folks who just said, yeah, I've been here 50, 60 years.
Wrote it out.
Yeah, and then he said, then they would find it. Like a woman in particular, an elderly man just said, listen, I've lived on this mountain my whole life. I'm not leaving. And then they found him impaled in the river sometime later. I mean, so the death toll was...
What is the death toll?
I don't know, 12.
Okay.
Last count I saw. Much less than what we were told or we anticipated.
Yes.
Really bad rumors going out.
Sure. The communication was sketchy at best.
Yeah. And it's nobody's fault.
No.
It was just everything was out. So, but all in all, it went pretty well. There's still issues. Once you get outside of immediate safety, right?
Yeah.
We are kind of out of the loop now, right?
Sure.
As far as like the Sheriff's Association goes, but you're going to be dealing with folks that, like, I promise you, most people don't have flood insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a total loss for some of these people.
Yeah. That's crazy. I've got it. We're not in a flood zone, but I've always had it. And it was relatively inexpensive if you're not in a flood zone to have it. I don't know what it's like if you're in a flood zone.
Right.
It might be a lot more. But I've kept it just for, if you live on the river, you know what I mean? And that river is held up by a dam.
Amen.
If I was there and the dam broke, it probably wouldn't make no difference anyway. Right. They'd probably find me in Louisiana somewhere.
Yeah.
Seriously, because, man, that's a huge...
Yeah, so it's led us to talk about
what we would do,
and specifically the conversations that I've had, is what our plan is if the North Dam did break, because our jail sits on the river, and
it would.
And flood. The plan is, we like, I don't even know if it's physically possible. What they tell us that our time frame is, because we got to get 350 to 400 inmates out loaded, and our rally point is the graveyard up top.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
But 350 to 400 people who ain't cooperating. I mean,
who may not want to go.
Yeah, and I mean, you talking about, I don't know how when they say that, we got 2 jail vans that hold 16 people. I mean,
you wouldn't.
I mean,
I think you got about 7 minutes is what I thought the number was, and that's if you see it break, Yeah. So you probably got about 5 minutes, I would say, is what you'd have to evacuate.
I don't know what we would do. I mean, seriously, but you can't go buy 52 buses.
No, on the whole, or on the chance.
I mean, because the truth of it is, let's say taxpayers of Rexford County said, yeah, absolutely, please get 52 buses. Well, they wouldn't be running the day we needed them because they've sat so long.
Probably true.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what happens.
Yeah.
Equipment sits around, and if you're not using it, it just doesn't.
It don't. Yeah.
It's like old cars.
That's it. I have John go out and just start ours. You know what I mean? The ones that are out here because if we don't drive them all the time, we don't drive them as much as we should. Yeah, it's just you think hopefully this will stir some talks about firming up our infrastructure across the country, whether it be state, county, local, city, whatever. But looking at that, taking a look at it. A lot of our bridges there, I know they inspect them. I don't know how often, but the state's supposed to inspect them, and that led one of the reasons we replaced the Green Bridge.
Yes.
So hopefully something like this will help people down here, downriver, get ahead of anything that might happen. Or at least start looking at it, because no one would have ever guessed that. Now, I-40, that didn't surprise me. I mean, I-40 washes away every time we have really bad rain. It's a hard place to build a highway anyway. I-26 was a little, I don't ever recall it washing away or anything ever. No. So did you guys go to Florida? Where did you guys? Alabama. So you just went straight down. Okay. Yeah. So you didn't have any problems. I ended up having to go, because normally we go through the gorge, through Asheville and out through there. So I had to go up to Virginia, to Waysville, Virginia, and then come down, I think, 77, 74, I think.
Yeah, so I think it was Hamlin County Sheriff, Sheriff Mullins, was coming back from vacation as that was happening.
Oh, wow.
And he had to, like a normal 8-hour trip took 17 hours because he had to go all the way up to Virginia.
That's one of my employees was at Myrtle Beach when it happened. So getting there was fine. Getting back, they had to reroute all the way around. It took them. It took us. Normally takes about 7 hours, maybe 8. Stopping, starting, going.
Depending on how many.
Yeah, how many girls? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this took probably 10. Maybe 12 coming back because we stopped a lot, and we didn't have any accidents going up, but there were 4 coming back, so that ate up a couple, probably an hour just sitting in that. So but it was because all the traffic had been routed to routes that don't usually carry that volume of traffic.
Right.
So I just told everybody, I bribed the kids. I took a picture of a $100 bill, and I said, as long as we have no arguments, no fighting, no drama, because we're going to be in the car for 12 hours, when we get to the condo, everybody gets $100 to, they're going to waste money anyway. It worked. It worked. It's like, wow, that was a good investment. So other than that, what else is going on? I mean, I do you guys sit and try and put together a escape route if something like that happens?
Yeah, the jail has one in place. But again, it's particularly after. We have one in place.
Gotcha.
But even when you see it, you say 7 minutes. Well,
what can you do?
That's not going to happen. But you're thinking, well, it's dam's never going to break. That's crazy, But then you see this happen, you get real serious about it.
Yeah.
So we're obviously that's on our radar, right? Because we are right on the river.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that we have to look at. But honestly, there's not a super good answer. I would honestly imagine that we would have to walk a lot of them out there.
You probably would. You probably have to run them across the parking lot.
Get on train tracks. Start climbing the hill. Yeah.
Go up the hill.
But logistically speaking, just getting those doors open and
routing
getting
them
in a single file line without them
panicking
or just being rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
I
think we get down to that type of scenario. You've got 5 minutes. You might have more panic, I would hope, than rowdy. If you're going to be rowdy, you'll just leave you here.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do. Yeah. Follow behind, fall in. Let's go.
Well, you never know. You don't know till you're faced. And look, I would want to believe that even if you're incarcerated down there, like in a state of that, you would
cooperate.
Yeah, like, okay, let's get everybody out here and then go back to hating each other when we're done.
Yeah, really.
When we're safe. All right.
when we're all still breathing.
But yeah, that consumed a big portion of my last few weeks.
Just participating, helping.
Now, the good news is I was up there a couple times, but I wasn't on the ground. Mine was quarterbacking it from an iPad.
Yeah.
And cell phone. But some really good stories came out of there. And again, I cannot tell you how impressed I've been with Anderson County. I mean, so I think I put a post out one day saying I needed 20 bags of dog food because Johnson County Sheriff asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet we got 40, 50.
That's great.
In hours.
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
Oh, we were blown away. We went up with Gary Terry up to high school, and Jay just went up there and said, hey, next so many people that bring me a case of water, I'll give you a T-shirt. We ran out of T-shirts. I mean, we filled that truck up.
Yeah.
It's blown us out. And we've done stuff like that before, and we have response. We've never had a response like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We, as a sheriff association, we were shocked as well. But again, it was so different, and it was. And listen, there's a segment of our society out there that don't trust TEMA and FEMA. But they'll be more than happy to give it to the sheriff's office.
Yeah, right? That makes sense.
So, because we would have to say, now, you ain't giving us TEMA, are you? No, this is going to the sheriffs.
That's good.
Yeah, the 6 sheriffs that are impacted. But, yeah, it was...
I think FEMA was just disorganized.
Yeah.
I mean...
TEMA was... Their response was much better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, again, it was...
Well, we heard a lot of stuff about people not being allowed to, what was the NASCAR guy that was flying in his helicopter?
Well, I don't know how true that stuff is or not. Back to this.
Mm-hmm.
We told those sheriffs, because there was basically 6 of them, right? And we said, TEMA's coming, FEMA's coming, but you make any requests of us you want, right? And we will do everything we can to make it happen.
Sure.
And again, the Sheriff's Association and their neighboring sheriffs that weren't impacted, we were not bogged down with rules and regulations.
Exactly.
Hey, we need 6 deputies tonight. I've showed out. Knox County sends 3, Anderson County sends 2, Loudoun County sends 1.
Yeah, there you go.
Handled,
Yeah.
So there was a place there, I think it was Washington County. There's an area that has somewhere around 100 people, and there's 2 little communities there, Little Germany and Bum Pass Cove, right?
Okay.
Completely isolated. Bridge was knocked out, right? So the National Guard was coming to pick up. They would take over supplies that the sheriff's office had.
Yeah.
And then they would take 2 deputies, 7 a.m., drop those deputies off, come back at 7 p.m., pick those deputies up, drop off 2 new ones, right? And then run supplies as needed on those same trips.
Yeah.
So the sheriff, of course, wasn't able to get over there because he couldn't be stuck there for 12 hours.
Sure. With everything going on.
Yeah, with communications and stuff. So he said, I don't know what to do. So Tom Spangler got him on the phone. He says, we'll be up there in about 40 minutes with the chopper. And they did that for Johnson County and Washington County.
That's good.
Just blew them everywhere. Tom Spangler sent on the front end, it was critical having the aviation unit out of Knox County.
I bet.
Because he was dropping law enforcement off where they needed to be, and some much needed basic supplies on the front end that where TEMA wasn't even set up.
Well, people that were even prepared for it, the water took all their preparation with it. I mean, even if you had food, a generator, it doesn't work if it's 3 feet underwater.
Right.
So I don't think anybody, those that were prepared, I don't think were prepared for what happened.
No,
I don't think anybody could have predicted it.
I don't know how you would get ready for that. Honestly,
they say it was substantially bigger than Katrina. You remember when it flooded New Orleans?
I'm telling you, like. So when it first started happening, I remember the Friday. I mean, like I'm going home for the weekend, and the texts start coming out through the Sheriff's Association. We knew they were getting a lot of rain dumped on them, right? But then they start saying, "Hey, I think the first text I got was Cotton County jail's flooded, and so they need to relocate inmates." All right.
Yeah.
So that's when we're like, "Hey, we got these threads up here." So we literally first messages we pushed out, it worked pretty well. But the problem was, like we weren't getting some communication from Washington and Johnson County because they had no cell phone service. And so Sullivan County was a neighboring county, so they were sending their people there. And Sullivan County is kind of a big agency. And so they were able to get some resources up there and at least make contact with them. But it was incredible from like, I remember I talked to one of the sheriffs and I said, "Hey, we got these items you've requested. They're literally on truck coming that way. Where do you need them to go?" And he says, "Well, we call it the crossroads." He said, "But it's where two highways intersect." We said, "Okay, you got a physical address?" And he goes, "We're literally set up on the highway." I go, "What?" He goes, "The bridge behind us is gone, so there's no traffic coming through. The ground's too wet to put anything down on because everything sinks. Anything with any weight sinks." So they were on a highway, and they were communicating through ham radio.
Wow.
With the areas, because they got people over there and like they were under tarps and pop-ups and had them strapped down to anything that was still standing, right?
Yeah.
And because one night it was still raining, 15-mile-an-hour winds, and that was after the big storm, right? So and I'm like, so he said I'm like, "Okay, we'll find you." And so he gave us a convenience store address. And he says, "If you can find that,
you can find us.
You'll see us."
Okay.
And some of the guys that we talked to were like the guys who went up there and worked. They said it looked like in some areas like a bomb had went off. That was very common. And then with the all the tents and tarps that were strung up, they said it gave you the vibe of The Walking Dead, that series,
absolutely,
where
the
they
zombies and
where they
apocalyptic into the world,
they makeshift communities, just whatever you could scavenge.
Yeah,
and I was like, oof. I mean, unbelievable.
Are we still doing anything in cooperation with them, or are they on their feet?
No, so we have one semi truck. The Sheriff's Association is now just waiting for any requests they give us, right?
Gotcha.
So at the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, we have one semi trailer left, and we're sending any load from across the state through the sheriffs, right? That all goes now to Bristol Motor Speedway.
Gotcha.
And of course, in hindsight, things you don't think of, right?
Sure.
So like, "Hey, we need water." Well, some sheriff knows a friend that's got a trucking company in his county, and he says, "Yes, I'll give you a semi-trailer." And then your radio station does a drive and gets these pallets. Local hardware store donates so many pallets, and all of a sudden you fill it up really fast, and you start that way. Well, when you get up there, they don't have a forklift.
Yeah.
It's palletized. They don't have the manpower to load it, and like dry storage was an issue.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have anywhere to keep it.
Yeah, and so Ball's water wasn't such a big deal, but there was some equipment and stuff that they just had no way to get it out of the weather. Wow. So and like Cotton County lost, I think it was 7 cars, patrol cars.
Oh wow!
I mean, in a blink of an eye, their fleet's out,
floating down the river.
Yeah, but really cool because some of them sheriffs had cars line cars is what we call them. It's basically backup cars.
Yeah.
Right, for their agencies. And they sent their cars up there.
That's cool.
So super confusing, though, in the sense that you're in Cotton County and a Granger County car shows up and a Anderson County deputy jumps out of it. I mean, so.
Well, again, I think it's good that we have the ability to help each other. And that's, I don't know, satellite phones seem a little more palatable these days, because that was the only thing you could communicate on for a while, if you had one.
There was a couple of sheriffs without them. We wouldn't have had contact with them without physically going up there and touching them.
Well, I was watching something, and former President Trump said he was on the phone. He called Elon Musk and said, "Do you think you could turn on Skylink? They're asking for something Skylink there in North Carolina." He said they were sitting there talking, and while he was talking to him on the phone, he started getting messages on his cell phone saying, "Oh, thank you for helping turn on Starlink." He was like, "Elon, it's already on." He goes, "I know, I did it while we were talking." So I just turned it on for, I don't know how he did it, but turned it on for a group of people there so that they could communicate.
Yeah. So anyway, there's some best practices. And, of course, there was the flooding out in West Tennessee a few years ago, Waverly.
I seem to remember that.
Yeah, and it didn't. I don't remember it being such a story here in East Tennessee.
I don't either.
Even with the association, right?
Yeah.
And so one, I don't know if it was as big, honestly, but the second thing is this as well as you could tell that West Tennessee sheriffs were, I don't know the right words, they were in tune. Like, they responded really well. They were like, "Oh, we've been here," and they kind of intuitively knew, or through experience, knew what was going to be needed.
Well, I kind of think that no one expected the gravity of what was going to happen. I mean, flooding is one thing. Breaching a dam and losing your bridges, you know what I mean? That's a complete, I don't think anybody was prepared.
I couldn't fathom being, like, for example, Greene County Sheriff, Wesley Holt.
Well, what would we do if we lost the Green Bridge and Veterans Bridge? We'd have to take a long way around. You'd go, maybe get down to you'd have to go down to Melton Hill Lake and cross down over on that bridge and then come all the way back up to get to Claxton or whatever. I mean, if that was right. I mean, think about
it. Because I was thinking, I live in South Clinton, so
you've got that.
We used to run the valley and come out up on up by the Get and Go up there at Hardy's, Moore's Gap, all that area.
Yeah,
but Veterans Bridge is gone.
All the little ones are going to be gone. And what if you lost the one? What would you do if you lost the one on 75? Think about that. We gotta. If you start thinking about that kind of what they faced, what happened to them, you lose a couple of your main thoroughfares in and out. You don't realize it till you start just looking at how many bridges we cross every day that we don't pay no attention to whatsoever.
That's fact. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you were able to help. I'm glad our guys were there to help. If we ever need it, I know that they'll be there to help us, and they've got a long, long, long rebuilding to go. I just saw Franklin Graham's group was up there. They're based in North Carolina, too, so they were right there on the spot. I know that they're doing a lot for people.
Yes.
But Skip, changing gears on you, where are we with the investigation with the schools?
What schools? No. Well, so I can tell you this. We have wrapped our end up.
Okay.
It is with the district attorney's office now.
Okay.
And that has held true for probably the last 10 days, 12 days.
Okay.
And I would imagine let's see, what is today?
Today is Monday, the 21st.
I'd imagine in the next 3 weeks.
You'll see what's going to happen, if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work? Do you guys, you do the investigation and then you just give it to the DA?
Yeah, so any criminal investigation, right?
Yes.
That is not a custodial arrest on the front end, right?
Yes.
We have choices. Like, for example, you break the law in front of me, misdemeanor or not. if a misdemeanor occurs in your presence, you can make a warrantless arrest. I take you to jail, whatever, and we hit Sessions Court, and then it either gets moved over to criminal or not, and so forth. If you've got something that is unique, or in this case, or not super common, that it's not I'd say run of the mill, but it's not outside. It's not a theft, burglary, things like that. You take it to the grand jury, right? Okay. So I can't say this with certainty, but I would imagine this would be a case that would go to the grand jury unless the district attorney's office comes back. Because when we do our report, when we're done, and if it's somewhere sent to the district attorney's office, we make our findings known, and we say we believe these statutes were violated and these laws were broken, right?
Gotcha.
So at that point, they can say, go swear to your warrants, we agree, or we agree, or we're going to present it to the grand jury. Now, going to the grand jury, what that does is cut out Sessions courts. Sessions courts are basically a probable cause court.
Gotcha.
Okay, so when you go into a Sessions court, if you want to contest your charges, if it's misdemeanors, you can dispose of them in there. But if you want to contest your charges, misdemeanor or felony or whatever, you can you can either waive to the grand jury or it gets bound over to the grand jury. But basically, the Sessions Court judges, their role is to determine, did you have probable cause to make this arrest, to file these charges? It's not, are you innocent or guilty? It is there probable cause there? So I honestly, just with the scope of this thing, because from a law enforcement perspective, as a detective, I always preferred the grand jury when I could go to the grand jury as opposed to Sessions Court, right?
Okay.
Because it was one less time I had to testify.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I arrest somebody on theft, felony or not. I have to go to a Sessions Court. We have a hearing, probable cause hearing. Well, if it gets bound over, then I got to turn around and present it to the grand jury. Right.
So if you can just skip that and go straight to the grand jury, it's one less step.
Because you could literally, the judge could agree with you in theory. The judge could say, yeah, you had a probable cause. I'm bound this over to the grand jury. You get in front of 12 citizens, and they can say, hey, no true bill.
Yeah.
So might as well cut straight to the chase. And then if you get past grand jury, then you're out in criminal court, and you may have a trial. So I would imagine just the scope alone of all the moving parts and the number of people and everything involved, that will probably, I would think, be a grand jury. But they may come back and say write warrants.
Or
they may say we disagree with you. Who knows?
Last time you were here, I think it was last time you were here, I had just days before read a letter, anonymous letter, and posted it on the air. And then you and General Clark offered, whistleblower status, basically, if somebody came forward. To your knowledge, anybody come forward to the Attorney General?
No.
No, I didn't.
Sure didn't to the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, no, on the District Attorney's Office. I would, because General Clark and I talked a couple different times about that.
Yeah.
About the offer I put out there, and no takers.
I was hopeful that somebody
I was too,
would.
And I honestly, not only was I hopeful, but I at least thought we'd get somebody who would try to take credit for it. I mean,
I don't know. I was hopeful.
No,
because whoever it was very knowledgeable about what they wrote, or it sounded very knowledgeable about the inner workings.
Clearly, that letter, I can't judge its value, but clearly they were somehow some part of.
It was authentic.
Yes,
it was authentic.
They believed what they were saying.
Yeah.
Now, was it accurate? That's another story. However. And it was somebody who, and it wasn't it's not like me sending an anonymous letter about a radio station.
Yeah.
Like this, they seem to know how it worked. Like I know
where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, I could say all kinds of things about a radio station, but I don't know. I've never been in that business, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Might sound good, but they appeared to have some knowledge that would lead you to believe that they were either currently or formerly employed by the school systems.
Well, I'm anxious to see what happens with it. So
we're closer.
Well, is this going to open up another can, or is it going to? You don't know, do you?
Right. In my world, everything opens up another can. I mean, very rarely is it for me. I mean, it's just this. Some things are just a gift that keeps on giving.
Did you get to enjoy your vacation? Do you? Does your phone ring a lot?
Nonstop. Yeah. Even on vacation.
I try like mine is. I try to limit it to like check email, do this, do that, and get it up, but I don't. I
don't either. I got fussed at a little bit by my wife because we had some issues that I needed to address. And one of the, I will say this, like we had a few potential to-dos. I'll say this: we had a couple big things happen down at the jail, at least big on my scale. Right?
Okay.
Involving inmates, right? Not anything that is going to end up in litigation or anything like that, but problem for us if you're running the jail, right?
Gotcha.
And so I got my 4:00 in the morning call to tell me this has happened, and so the next day I was communicating pretty heavily with our command staff at the jail, but there was a different flavor about it when you're sitting on a beach staring at the ocean hearing these things as opposed to in your office.
I understand.
Right? So although it did interfere a little bit, but it comes with territory. It's what I signed up for.
I get it.
And my wife gets it, but
it's still a distraction from your distraction.
Yeah, but it's what we agreed to do. So,
anything else going on that folks might find interesting, or that you might want to share that you guys have happening?
No, it's literally the floods really consumed us, and trying to think if there's anything else. I'm sure.
If I think something, I'll text you. But no news is good news a lot of times in that particular situation.
Yeah. Outside of that, like, so I was running late up here. I'll say this. Of course, I'm about to get deposed. Right?
You're about to.
Yeah. Okay. Over the I-75 shooting that happened.
Okay.
A year or so ago. Okay. That originated Kentucky.
The trace comes in here. Yes.
So I was in a meeting with the attorney. That's why I was running a little late here, because he's and I can tell you this, like he was saying, hey, so I don't know how much you know. And I said, here's the good news. I know nothing. And he's like, are you serious? I go, yeah. He goes, so like you didn't watch the video? I go, no. I knew this was going to litigation. I won't be able to say I didn't watch the video.
Yeah.
I wasn't on scene. I wasn't part of that pursuit. And so my whole role in it was I went and checked on our people.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't go inside the tape where the actual scene was. I just made sure our deputies were taken care of and they were okay.
Everything was okay.
And when they were okay, I took my hind end back to Lee Road.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And of course the TBI and everybody got involved at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's pretty standard if they're shooting,
always.
Right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we never investigate our own. As a matter of fact, I think almost exclusively everybody uses TBI and officer-involved shooting. The exception of that would probably be you big three there. Knoxville, I would imagine, Knox County and KPD kind of swap off to have a third party look at it, I believe. Probably do use TBI some as well. And, of course, Davidson County, guarantee you, they probably work their own.
Yeah.
And then I would say Shelby, Memphis area
might have their own.
Yeah.
Did you see in the news where the sheriff of county shot the judge? What's that?
Yes.
What county was that?
It's somewhere in Kentucky.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
It was close, but it wasn't, super duper close. But
so the video, so that whole thing come out. Of course, the rumor mill got it about half right, but I saw the video.
What's the?
So the scoop is, of course, I don't think this was. I hate to say this, but I don't follow the news probably like I should because I got my own news going on. Right?
You got news. You're making news.
Yeah, and
or wrangling it.
Yeah, and so he walks into the judge's chambers and allegedly this sheriff was having some kind of this judge was having some kind of inappropriate relationship with his daughter who's under 18, high school daughter. And so the video it's pretty clear on what he intended to do. There ain't and so that will be interesting to follow. Then, of course, there was some, I can't remember if I read it, heard it, or it was just cops talking, right?
Yeah.
But supposedly there was, I guess the sheriff, took the judge's phone and called his kid to see if, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's you. So, yeah, sticky situation, weird situation. Horrible. I just didn't know how, if.
Horrible.
Yeah. Anything else going on?
I don't think so.
Good. Well, I guess no news is good news. My phone.
They got county commission going on right now, or maybe it's over with by now. They had their day.
They had their day meeting today?
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
See, I saved you from that.
Yeah, well, I had that appointment with the attorney.
There you go. So. Sure. All right, Sheriff Barker, thank you kindly. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad you had a good vacation. And
yeah, we're recharged, ready to go.
All right, guys, we'll wrap things up. Have a good one.
Hi, I'm Rick Scarborough. As a police chief, I spent my entire career serving and protecting our community. With threats to our Tennessee values growing, I'm running for state representative to ensure all our kids are protected and have opportunities with great schools and high-paying jobs. Anderson County is the best place in the country to raise a family. Please join my effort to keep it that way and defend our conservative values. Election day is November 5th, and I would appreciate your vote.
When you need it in print, call C&D Desktop Publishing and Printing, 865-457-4264. Business cards, brochures, White House diagrams, specialty items, or anything you need to have printed. C&D Printing can take care of it. Make your business look good. Make your event flyers look great. Make the call to C&D Desktop Publishing and Printing, 865-457-4264. Located at 345 South Charles Evers Boulevard next to McDonald's. C&D Desktop Publishing and Printing.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12, or listen live online